Hello TMPers, Nutnfancy here. There is my original Victorinox Trekker, previously reviewed in the project. What a great knife that is. A very proven backpacking, fishing, and food preparation companion in the out of doors in the Nutnfancy family. Great knife, reviewed in detail in the video above. This is a response video to show you a couple of other versions that I mentioned but did not have at the time when I posted my initial review. And here they are. Two Victorinox one-handed Trekkers. This one here is called the German Army one-handed Trekker, model number 54876. On the bottom is a satin finished or polished blade, better said. Black handled version, excuse me, model number 54874. And these are just like the Trekker that I reviewed in the video above, except for the obvious difference of featuring a very different one-hand deployable main blade. And for a lot of users, this is really going to improve the utility of the design. And count me among those. I think it's a big plus being able to deploy that blade with one hand. And yes, that blade is very different, and this is a Victorinox way of doing things in a lot of ways, and that is kind of a sheep's foot shaped blade. Chisel ground, which is unusual on that blade. It's not a double bevel, it's a chisel grind on that, and I'm never a huge fan of chisel grinding, truth be told, I'm not. But this one is razor sharp out of the box. Both of these knives are. Wearing those forward serrations as seen in the Swiss Army Rescue Tool. In fact, this blade is identical to that of the Swiss Army Rescue Tool. No difference that I can detect. How do those forward serrations function? I haven't used it really yet. It's a little too early for me to know. It took me a little while to get these for review, finally did. But I will tell you, if I find something that's surprising, I'll let you know with perhaps another response video. But I think they'll be fine. Yes, I would prefer to have my serrations on the rear of the blade if I have them at all. I generally prefer not to have serrations at all on my blade. But they're sharp. They're pretty well profiled. They're not super aggressive in the fact that I think they would shear off under heavy use. Decent. Like I said in my initial or several Victorinox knife reviews, the steel is somewhat soft in my experience. Don't expect it to wear an edge like 154 CM or S30V, maybe even AUS 8, AUS 8, but it's easy to resharpen, at least this portion, and that might be a disadvantage on the serrations. That once they're dull with a softer steel like this, it might be difficult to resharpen. Call me crazy. The deployment hole I noticed is very beveled, so it might be a little bit slick in deploying the one-handed Trekkers. However, if you push your thumb in there nice and purposefully, you can do it. It's not a fast blade to get out, as you can see. Don't expect it to be like a folding tactical knife, but yes, it's one-handed capable. No jimping there. But again, I'm not surprised from Victorinox. This is a utility / outdoor camping, hiking blade, so they probably didn't even consider it. It would be an easy enough affair to add that skateboard tape on the back spine if that's important to you, if you wanted to do it. This also comes in a black finished blade, which is cool. Let me wipe that scum off there. You know how I like them clean. Black finished blade, that's a cool offering as well. This one is a polished stainless steel blade. These blades are identical. The difference between these two knives is pretty much the execution of the handles. Other than that, they share the same tool capabilities for the most part as the regular Trekker version. I'll point out some minor differences here, but let's talk about the handles first. This is the olive drab version of the German Army one-handed Trekker, and I like it. Good looking blade, has lots of the second kind of cool. It isn't, however, the official new Swiss Army knife, according to my understanding. That particular knife, and I'm going to use a Kershaw 1740 Energy for my pointer today, but the new Swiss Army knife actually has traction inserts, rubber variety in the handle. If you ask me, I prefer this version here, and that's why I'm reviewing it. I could have secured the other one if I really wanted to, didn't. I like the solid polycarbonate handle much better. Not just in my Victorinox Swiss Army knives, but in all kinds of gear. And I'm going to roll in an Airweight Smith here wearing Crimson Trace laser grips. And these are also solid polycarbonate. Okay, and they don't have rubber in them. The original grips that came with this particular gun with a Smith & Wesson logo on them are made of rubber. The problem I have with that, to include traction inserts in a one-handed Trekker, is that it grabs on clothing, picks up lint, gathers dirt, and I have other tools, kind of like this driver, that have also proved the point. It seems like everything is made with comfort grips or rubber in them, and I hate it. I wish they would just go with normal because it just gets dirty. I have lots of tools like this in the Nutnfancy workshop that are filthy because that rubber is just a very tractionable material that picks up dirt. So if you ask me, and that's just an example, I much prefer these grips, which still provide really good traction. I'll do a separate tabletop on this eventually, still in the shooting phase. And then contrast it against maybe the rubber factory grips. Same goes for the German Army one-handed Trekker. This is a version I prefer. Again, the model number 54876. Nice coloration on those too, and with the logo molded in there, nice. The only thing you lack with this German Army one-handed Trekker against the regular black version is you lack the toothpick and tweezers in the handle. Okay, they're just absent. So if that's important to you, you might want to consider it. Both of these, by the way, are extremely high value. Incredible for what you get. Around $26, $27. Again, I hate to throw out prices there, but I want to do it in this review because it drives right to the heart of value for these amazing high quality knives. And that was at another good knife place, if they have it. They don't have a huge selection. That is Natchez Shooter Supplies. And you can look that up in Google. Maybe I'll annotate it if I get bored. But that's another great place. $27 for this. Let's talk about the second kind of cool. And this is something that I, too, Nutnfancy, am affected by with the outstanding Victorinox brand. I like, I talked about this in some other reviews. It has so much history. The brand does. My dad bringing me home those knives, and the history of the knife itself, the family that created the brand, how it is part of the Swiss Army. All of that kind of goes in to acquiring one of these knives for your collection. It's very cool. Even if you do not intend to use it, even if you just plan on this being a collectible knife, for $27, that's an easy do, if you ask me. Comparatively speaking, there's a lot more knives that don't have this type of quality, fit, and finish that cost a lot more. The black-handled Trekker, no surprises here, and the tools, again, other than the absence of the toothpick and the tweezers on the OD version, German Army variety, but other than that, the tool selection is identical as previously reviewed in the video above. There's your small screwdriver, 3mm variety, can opener. My favorite, like I've said many times, you have a locking screwdriver, 5mm blade with a wire stripper, as we talked about. I love how it's locking. And like I said in my initial Trekker review, that allows it to be used kind of as a pry tool. If that locks, very cool. Then you got your Phillips driver, your awl and reamer. No surprises, just like the regular Trekker model, just with the addition of that faster deploying blade with that really kind of obnoxious reversed unlock. It's just the opposite of basically all the other liner locks or that type of variety of blades that we've seen and talked about many times before. That is the one-handed Trekker, though. It's still kind of a heavy knife, 4.6 ounces for these one-handed Trekkers. There's a lot of blades that weigh less. If every micro ounce counts, which sometimes it does depending on my loadout, my system, whatever I have going, then maybe it will get left behind. But as you've seen, at least with my regular Trekker version, it's come along a few trips. That's because it's just so useful, has a great variety of tools. If I had to add one thing to this, if it was just me, I would probably put scissors on it. Because right now, I forgot to mention, by the way, the saw blade, as previously talked about. I'd almost rather have scissors rather than a saw blade. Maybe both. That's the one-handed Trekker. Both great colorations. You'll have to take your pick. But for the money, great addition to your knife collection and for your outdoor tool selection. Nutnfancy with a quick knife update. Wow, really quick. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see ya. More to come. much.